I still remember the sound of the gavel, one sharp crack. That was the moment my family split into fractions. My father walked out of the courtroom with my brother. My mother clutched my sister's small hand and disappeared into the crowd. And me? I was the leftover, the child no one claimed. The state took me in, dressed me in second-hand clothes, taught me to eat fast before the food ran out. Nights were the hardest, lying awake in a bed that smelled like strangers, staring at a ceiling that belonged to no one. I used to ask myself, why didn't either of them fight for me? But the answer came years later, loud and undeniable. They didn't see value in me, not then. Years passed. I grew taller, sharper. Not the broken kid they abandoned, but something colder, quieter, a weapon being forged in silence. Then one day, they all came knocking. My father, gray at the temples, with a forced smile. My mother, eyes wet with rehearsed regret. My siblings, grown now, hovering behind them like shadows. They wanted to be a family again, as if family was something you could resurrect with apologies and old photographs. I didn't slam the door, I didn't scream, I smiled, because I had been waiting for this moment my entire life. My father invited me to dinner first. He ordered the most expensive bottle of wine, bragging about the company he built with my brother. He spoke like nothing had happened, like I had been on some extended vacation instead of rotting in state care. But I wasn't listening to his words. I was studying him, his weaknesses, the tremor in his left hand when he reached for the glass, the way he checked his phone between sentences, desperate for validation. A week later, I visited his office. I left behind a flash drive, something he assumed was a gift, a slideshow of childhood pictures I found. He didn't know it carried something else, a traceable program, pulling financial records, client lists, and secrets he thought buried. By the time I was done, his empire was bleeding. Slowly, quietly. Contracts voided, clients pulled away, one by one. No one suspected me. I made sure of that. My mother was next. She played the role of victim well, wringing her hands, speaking of sleepless nights, whispering how she regretted leaving me behind. But guilt is cheap when it's spoken. So I tested her. I let her believe I needed her. I asked for small favors, financial help, introductions. She offered them eagerly, proud of her redemption. What she didn't know was that every account number, every signature, every careless document she handed me was fuel. When the audits came, when the debts she had hidden beneath layers of charity and fraud surfaced, she cried. She looked at me, desperate, pleading. I only tilted my head. Now you know how it feels to be abandoned. But my siblings, they were different. They hadn't chosen. They had been carried away. Still, they grew up under roofs while I slept in rotating beds with strangers. They ate home-cooked meals while I memorized the metallic taste of cafeteria food. When they came to me, it wasn't with arrogance. It was curiosity. A brother and sister wanting to know the ghost of the sibling they lost. And so I gave them a choice. Stay in my life, stripped of illusions, or walk away before I destroyed the image they had of our parents. They chose to stay. The climax came on a rain-soaked night, years in the making. I invited them all to my home, neutral ground. The table was set, wine poured, silence heavy. My father sat stiff, jaw tight. He'd lost his company, his reputation shredded by whispers he couldn't trace. My mother, pale, shaking, her assets frozen, her name dragged through investigations. And my siblings, caught between the wreckage and me. I looked at them one by one. "Do you know what it feels like," I said, voice calm, "to watch your family walk away, each taking a piece of you, and leave nothing behind?" No one answered. They couldn't. I leaned back, savoring their silence. You wanted me back. But the child you abandoned doesn't exist anymore. My father's hands clenched into fists. My mother's lips trembled. My siblings lowered their eyes, realizing the truth. This wasn't a reunion. It was a reckoning. When they left that night, none of them spoke. The storm outside swallowed their footsteps. I stood alone in the quiet house, the weight of years finally lifting. Revenge hadn't healed me, but it had balanced the scales. I wasn't the broken child they had discarded. I was the judge, the executioner, and the survivor. And as I closed the door behind me, one truth burned steady in my chest. They taught me abandonment. I taught them consequence.